So the FIFA World Cup is over and it's sort of a bittersweet feeling for me. Bitter because no more football to watch at night, but sweet because now you can sleep early and then go for your morning ride. Something that I have been missing throughout this FIFA World Cup. लेकिन अब क्योंकि FIFA World Cup खत्म है, so the first opportunity I got was to go for a ride. One month of watching football means that you're still hungover with that beautiful game. तो क्या किया हमने इस बार? We've combined football and bike ride. So we'll be going out on a bike ride to Rajasthan from Delhi to a beautiful fort. And my fellow riders today will also be bike lovers and football lovers. But before we go on a ride, always an advice that ensure that you use the best engine oil that there is. I use this one. This is a must, and ensure always that your chain lube is always chain is clean and you've lubed it properly. It is very, very essential for a safe bike riding experience. So without further ado, चलते हैं. So after a long ride, we are at this beautiful fort here, very close to Alwar in Rajasthan, and bike ride ke baad, after a good breakfast, now we are talking about football. The World Cup may be over, but we're still hungover with all the action that happened on the field. And मेरे साथ हैं मेरे fellow riders, Abhishek here. He runs an event production company. Another Abhishek, I'll call him Bali, just so that we can distinguish between the two gentlemen. He works for KPMG, and Jasmeet है हमारे साथ. He works for Make My Trip, and Paul right next to me works for a publishing firm. So हम बात करेंगे their favorite sport football के बारे में. I'm going to ask all four of you to think about the bike that comes to your mind when I take the name of a particular footballer, okay? And I'm going to take names of the guys we've been talking about. So let's start with Messi, because he came up as a disappointment. So when I say Messi, the bike that comes to your mind.
I would say definitely a BMW of some sort. It's got all the bells and whistles, all the electronics, everything that you can kind of this thing. Even in terms of skills, what you can do with the bike. So for me, clearly,
Okay.
a
Notch
BMW.
above everyone else. Okay. Okay. Anyone agree, disagree? Or
I think that's
a good
fine.
choice.
That's fine.
They like big bikes.
and he's not big.
No, not really. You have the S series or the R series as well. Maybe I have to be the GS, right? It doesn't have to be the GS.
I go with something.
They make cycles also, you know.
Okay.
I'd go with Ducati. I don't know.
I would say.
Yeah, I think it resembles. One could actually sense when you think of Messi and you see a Ducati.
I mean, there's a certain amount of style, but it is also very tempestuous sort of bikes at times.
Which Messi is not. He's quite. Yeah.
Tempered.
I mean, he's tempered, but I'm saying tempestuous. because
His
of
persona,
his-
perhaps.
Of his performance. You know, so with a Ducati, you know it's going to really kill it when it goes out there. But it's not, at least when it comes to India and otherwise, it's not really the most dependable of things. You know, it sometimes just shuts off because, you know, the conditions aren't right, or this isn't right.
Let no Barcelona fan watch this. They think he's very dependable. He does it week in, week out.
I'm sure the same thing is with Ducati fans as well. You know? If they hear this, they're like, really?
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Cristiano Ronaldo. You want to?
I'd actually put him on a VMAX, a Yamaha VMAX.
Oh wow, that's an
Chiseled, muscle bike, and I think he's got the height. I just see him kind of being an extension of a muscle bike.
Okay, okay. An attention grabber.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's
That's
nice.
an interesting choice, actually.
We'll go with this. I think this is unanimous.
Yeah, I think clearly.
Okay, okay. Good choices. Okay, we'll move on to the other one, which is Neymar. So pick a bike or a roller skate or whatever you.
I was about to say a Harley, but then I just realized that's what I ride.
We got to be honest.
We've got to be honest, both of us are riding Harley.
Both of us are riding Harley, so.
Well, you know, you've got quite a few of these bikes. Not so many right now, but what he reminds me of is, you know, the superbike era really started in the 80s and 90s, where bike manufacturers started experimenting with really powerful engines. Honda did it, Kawasaki did it, all these guys did it, and so they were extremely fast, but the bikes and the chassis wasn't really
Weren't kind of,
made
yeah.
for the. So Neymar actually reminds me of that. You know,
Interesting.
there's a huge potential to be really fast, but there are many other components around it that really aren't designed for that. So there's somewhere, you know, it just doesn't click. You know, and it takes time to sort of get it defined. My sense is that if you were to put some other components around a player like Neymar, and you know, the bike would work really well. So some of the Hondas and Kawasaki's that were made in the 80s and 90s is what really comes to mind.
For me, you know, the first thing that came to mind was when you talk about Neymar, could have been a Royal Enfield, because, you know, it's liked by everyone, but it spends a lot of time in the workship. So I'm guessing that is the case.
Everyone
with
loves
I had a
Neymar.
slightly different
Yeah.
take. I was, of course, Harley, but I was saying pre-FIFA and post. It was more like a fat boy, where you would say, wow. And now I don't think he's more than Street 750. I'm sorry.
With its
That's
brake
how it
issues.
is, yeah. Almost everywhere. So
Okay.
that's how I look at it.
Okay, finally, the last guy, because we spoke about him a lot, is MBAPPE. Everyone picked him as one of the young favorite, apart from you. But let's talk about MBAPPE, the bike that you're reminded of. He's young, he's fast, he's skillful, he's coming up.
He comes across as a KTM to me. The KTM
Ah,
1290.
That was a-
Yeah.
That's a great choice.
The
Yeah.
KTM 1290 is what it feels like. Why? A, because fantastic bikes, real engines, great performance. You know, it's got the sort of the energy of a young bike rather than sort of the one. But on the same side, KTM's, we don't know if they'll stick around for as long as we've seen many of the other bikes are, simply because they bring in something really new. But to build a great motorcycle ecosystem is a little bit like building a great player. You need to have, you know, the right workshops, the right parts, the right, you know, the right network, so on and so forth.
Where he's coming from is, I think the verdict on them is still out there.
Well, they're
You know.
fantastic bikes, and because they're so, just like the player, because they've shown suddenly, so you don't see too many negatives, which for me anyway is a sort of a red herring of sorts, because everybody has something negative about it, right? So, and that's where I'm sort of I'm still saying it's a wait and watch sort of a situation.
I think it's a great choice.
Absolutely, great choice.
We all agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, on that note, I'd like to thank all of you for joining our discussion over breakfast. Of course, we guys have a long ride back. So while we do that, why don't you subscribe to our channel, watch all the other episodes that we've got during the FIFA World Cup. Thanks so much for watching.